All right, folks, are we ready? I think we've got everybody.
Not Kevin.
Not Robert
Oh.
Gunn.
Well, they can come on. We've got the council, and that's the important ones. Call to order. This meeting of the Bridgeton City Council on May 20th, 2020 at 7 o'clock. If you would all please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. The clerk will now call the roll.
Mrs. Abram,
here.
Mr. Grimmer,
Here.
Mr. Hine,
Here.
Mrs. Luke,
Here.
Norris,
Here.
Mr. Purcell,
Here.
Mr. Sattel,
Here.
Mr. Zimmer.
Here.
All right, we have all 8 council members present for this evening's Zoom meeting. Thank you all very much. And we will go on to item D, the agenda approval.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval of tonight's agenda. Comments and questions. Councilmember Grimmer.
Yes, I would like to again remove items 4 and 5. That would be bills number 6241 and 6243. In light of the situation we have here, we would like to continue these without removing them entirely from the agenda. So by taking them off tonight's agenda, we can extend our consideration.
I second that motion.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further comments, questions, suggestion, changes on that? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries, and items 4 and 5, bills number 6241 and 6243 are being held. Further comments, questions on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, those in favor of the amended agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. You have approved the agenda. I do not have any cards tonight. Carol, did we get any comments?
I didn't.
Okay. So we have nothing under the public portion of tonight's meeting.
Wow.
We are down to approval of the minutes of the May 6th, 2020 meeting.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval of the May 6th, 2020 meeting minutes. Questions, suggestions, changes, deletions? I see no hands. Those in favor of the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. I have no appointments or announcements tonight, other than to note that we do have a full council. So we have one bill to be introduced. In theory, it could go all the way for adoption if it's so decided by the council. We are on to perfection of bills. Item 3L, bill number 6244, Councilmember Abram.
Move for second reading of bill number 6244.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for second reading of bill 6244. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Councilmember Abram.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Bridgeton, Missouri, application number 20-PZ-01, granting the major residential subdivision known as Arbor Gardens to subdivide 6.96 acres into 30 lots zoned planned single-family residential unit development, PUD, located at 3416 Fifi Road. And this is the final plat.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for third and final reading of bill 62.
No, I already read it
Yeah.
twice.
What?
It only read twice. I
Yeah,
just-
you have to come up for third reading.
No,
No, we don't.
we don't have a third
Oh.
reading.
That's right.
Ah.
My fault.
Okay,
Comments or questions? Somebody raised their hand. Was it you,
Well-
Bob?
Yeah,
wait, let me discuss
let
first.
Barb talk first.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
If I could, I think we need a motion to make bill number,
I thought
Yes,
that
we
was
do.
the case too. That's what I was looking for.
What, Dave?
make
Gotta
bill,
make it
a motion for bill 6244 to become ordinance number.
Ordinance.
Right,
And you
okay.
didn't do that. So we need to do
Oh,
that
we
before you comment.
started wanting to discuss it. That's why I wanted to let you know we need to discuss it. Okay, move that Bill 6244 become ordinance number 20 dash what?
11.
Huh?
6245.
That is 6244, Bob. Arbor Gardens.
Well, my agenda says 6045.
Well,
No, that's Smiley Road.
yeah, would you pay attention, please?
Oh, that's the other one, 44. Okay. All right. No problem. Sorry.
Through this, okay? Move that bill number 6244 become ordinance number 20 dash what?
11.
11.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for bill number 6244 to become ordinance 20-11. We recognize Councilmember Abram.
Yes, I want to say that we did pass, this is a final plat. And we have made no, we can't make any changes to this. We did pass the preliminary plan and we passed the zoning. So there is no changes that we can make on here. Now, Dave has explained it to us numerous times, but maybe if anybody would like for him to explain that again, maybe he can would do that for us.
Well, let me go first to Councilmember Satel, unless are you finished, Councilmember Abram?
Yes, I am.
Councilmember Satel.
Thank you, Mayor. We've had, I'm actually in favor of this now. Dave might be following up on this. Before this was a tie vote and the mayor broke the tie when it was originally passed. But since then, the ladies, Glenda and Mary, which bordered both of these, have gotten a letter from about the Arbor Garden, about making sure their fences are taken care of. And they are satisfied, both of them, this past week to make sure that they had something in writing so they actually will get their fences taken care of according to their needs. So we should go ahead and approve this without having to get extra 13 signatures to make sure it requires 6 votes. So I am in favor of this. Thank you.
Councilmember Abram.
Yeah, it's really our administrative duty to pass this since we did approve that preliminary plan. So I just don't want to waste a lot of discussion on it when we can't make any amendments or anything to it.
Very good. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Norris,
Aye.
Mr. Purcell,
Aye.
Mr. Satel,
Aye.
Mr. Zimmer,
Aye.
Mrs. Abram,
Aye.
Mr. Grimmer,
Aye.
Mr. Hine,
Aye.
Mrs. Luke,
What's it? I'm sorry, Gretchen, I didn't hear your vote.
Aye.
So I have 7-1 in favor. Is that what you have?
8.
I thought I heard 1 no vote.
Zimmer.
I have 8 ayes.
What's Scott's vote?
I thought Councilmember Zimmer said no. Was I correct, Scott?
No, you were incorrect.
Oh, so it's 8-0. Thank you. By your vote of 8-0, you have approved ordinance Bill 6244 to become ordinance 20-11. Consideration of new bills. Councilmember Abram, bill number 6245.
Move for first reading of bill number 6245.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded.
Second.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Bridgeton, Missouri, application number 20-PZ-04, granting a minor residential subdivision known as 3145 Smiley Road Addition to subdivide 2.332 acres into 2 lots zoned R1, single family dwelling district, located at 3145 Smiley Road. Move to table.
Second.
Motion made seconded for tabling of bill 6245. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. We are down to discussion items. Item number 8 is the budget update. Councilmember Zimmer.
Yes, like to hear what we have, where you feel we're at. And I noticed we got an email about 9 minutes before the meeting with some charts. I didn't get a real chance to look over those. I appreciate the information though. So I was just wondering if you could, or Kevin maybe could go over some of the information he's provided in the email, please.
Would the city administrator like to go over? I just got it as well when I came in this evening. Would you like to go over it, Mr. Bookout?
Absolutely. You received an email, and I know the council members that are currently at the City Hall received a hard copy of the email. After discussing this with Councilmember Zimmer last week, we wanted to come up with a way that we could easily track the assumptions that were made regarding the financial impact that we were going to experience because of the pandemic, and what the actual numbers are. You'll notice on the graphs that you have before you that the green line is I think we show 2 months in the green, the actual. We're going to continue to update that as the months go on, and as we get new information, we'll continue to update those and push those out to the council. We were originally going to provide those to you at the end of the week, but we thought we've got them. The mayor had a chance to take a look at them late today, so we thought we would send them to you. So it's not because it's just before the council meeting, it's when the mayor reviewed them and we had a chance to send them to you. So rather than wait until the end of the month, we thought we would send them to you now. But we thought it would be an easy way to try to track this and easily explain where we are in terms of our revenue projections. And we thought it would be something that would be valuable to the council. We're certainly willing to take any questions or comments the council has regarding these.
Councilmember Sattel.
Yes, Mayor. I was glad to see that we got 2 months worth of the financials this past 2 weeks that showed earlier the end of March, and then we also got an end of April. When I picked up my packet Tuesday, I was trying to get a copy to the finance department of exactly 1 year ago. So if we could maybe get an email from, so we could use the end of April from 2019 to compare it to the end of April 2020. I know a lot of stuff shows that, hey, this is where we're at on a percentage of the whole calendar year. But some of this stuff comes early in the year, some comes in the middle of the year, some is summertime, some is late. So if we can have something that compares it from a year ago to also, I think that'd be very beneficial. Maybe Kevin, you can address that. Thank you.
And what he's referring to, for those that aren't familiar, if you didn't pick it up like him, it's a document like this.
Yeah.
That was sent out to you.
It was in our
It's
packet.
a little bit it's a little bit deceiving, not on purpose, but remember as well that our sales tax revenues are delayed at least 2 months, if not 2.5 months. So when I looked at it, somewhat similar to what Councilmember Still said, it looked like things were a little bit better than what they really are. That's because on sales tax, it is not a true reflection of where we're at. Mr. Bookout, did you want to further elaborate?
No, you're exactly right. There is a little bit of a lag, so it certainly doesn't reflect the latest numbers that we have. So, you know, we certainly don't want to confuse anybody. And that was initially the impetus for what we've just provided this evening. And I think these graphs kind of help explain,
right,
whether it's accrued later. We're trying to track it and provide them the latest information and compare it with projections that we have. So I think these graphs will really help.
Very good. Councilmember Zimmer.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you. This looks like the type of information that could really help us. Thank you for putting this together, Kevin and Mayor. I appreciate that. The first gross receipt tax, I guess you may have mentioned this when I was in there. It looks like it's the first 3 months actual versus projected are pretty low. You noted that, and I guess what happened there? Could you speak on that at all? The first chart? No, I'm sorry.
You're on the charts and not the document?
The gross receipt tax chart. Yeah, no, I don't have the document. I don't see the document in the email. I just see the 3 charts or 4,
okay.
1, 2, 3 charts.
Mr. Bookout?
So with gross receipts, I think our projection initially was a 15% decline. I think we're right at about 11% reductions. So we're not too far off what the projections were. Is that what you're referring to, Councilmember Zimmer?
Must not be, because I'm looking, it looks like about 25% off. Maybe it's the actual versus the projected on the January, February, and March gross tax receipts. The first quarter tax receipts were a lot lower than it looks like.
Yeah, and
we'd expected.
yeah, I mean, you're referring to what was projected for the year, for the fiscal year 2020. Overall, we are down from what was projected, back in the fall when we formulated the 2020 fiscal year budget. We are down from that.
Yeah. So
I think that's what you're seeing on the graph as well.
Okay. So my point is, we shot low there, and it's like a double whammy because we're not getting what we thought we were getting, and plus it's lower now. So that's all I'm saying.
You're absolutely right.
Okay. Thanks. That's all I have. Thank you.
Very
Appreciate
good.
it.
Councilmember Hein.
Thank you, Mayor. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. So thank you, Kevin, for the information you provided via email yesterday.
Absolutely.
There was a question I had. I guess our budget called for about 53.1 part-time employees, and you said 57 were sent furlough letters. So I was going to see if you could comment on that. And then the grant from the Bridgeton landfill, we received what, 300,000 or so approximately.
350.
350. Yeah.
350. Okay. And can you comment on where that money has to be used? And let's see. Last council meeting, I suggested maybe we try and help out our dining and liquor establishments on their liquor licenses. And I was under the impression that the liquor license revenue was about $42,000. I looked at the budget, and I think we have budgeted $27,000. So I would like us to consider either foregoing their liquor license application money for 2020, or give them an extension or time to pay, 3 months or 6 months. Just a suggestion. And if there's any discussion on that, I guess we can talk about it. And then are we working on trying to collect use tax or sales tax on internet sales? And is that something that we can get implemented starting this year?
I can answer the last one, and you can't, because the state legislature did not authorize it through any legislation. We have to wait for the legislature to do something, and then we have to take it to a vote of the public on the use tax. We are one of only 2 states that don't have a use tax on internet sales, us and Florida. Mr. Bookout, would you care to address some of his others? And then I've got a couple of hands I see.
Absolutely. The letters that were sent out to the 58. So, keep in mind, between our permanent part-time and our seasonal part-time employees, I mean, we balloon up, and we've got over 300 part-time employees total throughout the year when you factor in all of the programs and the parks and all that. So letters were sent out to more than, I think, what you're looking at. And so all of the letters that were sent out to the furloughed part-time, it was 58. So that number is accurate. Regarding the $350,000 grant, it's for improvements to BMAC. And I think the Parks Director is planning to elaborate and expound on that when the mayor calls on him. So I don't want to take away his, take away that, but it's all for BMAC.
Okay.
Councilmember, go ahead, Councilmember Hein, did you have a follow-up?
One more question. I think there was some federal funding provided. It'd be for grants for small businesses. They can apply for a grant up to $15,000.
That was through St. Louis County.
Through St. Louis County. None of that money will be distributed to our city to distribute to the businesses in Bridgeton?
We don't.
They have
we
to
don't-
apply for that themselves. Okay,
That's correct. We do not get the money ourselves. It all goes through the county council person whose district we reside in, which in this case is Ms. Dunaway. Councilmember Norris.
Mr. Hine, and that grant application ended on May 17th. They can no longer, according to the St. Louis County's web, that's the end of it.
I think they did extend that, Councilmember
Did
Norris, to the 31st.
Okay.
Councilmember Abram.
Thank you. And what I'm asking about is what Mr. Hines suggesting about the liquor license for our liquor establishments and restaurant. Well, what I want to know is, why are you only asking for the liquor establishments? We've got a lot of small businesses that are in trouble, and if we're going to try to help out anything, we should be trying to help out them all, which we can't do. Another thing, why when we need the revenue so badly, and we're struggling ourselves and trying to maintain our city and keep it from going under, would we want to give money, not collect the money that's due us? And I just don't think that's a very good suggestion. I think we should collect our dues because we need that revenue. That's just what I feel.
Councilmember Norris.
I just need another comment on the liquor license. Do we get all of that money, or does the county and the state of Missouri get a portion of that liquor license? So, isn't there more control than just us to provide their businesses with a permit?
City Clerk would like to respond to that question. Go ahead, Lisa. Carol.
First of all, I've had a third of all the liquor licenses already turned in and are being approved now. And second of all, they have to get 3 licenses. They get our license, they get a county license, and they get a state license. So,
Correct.
I don't know what I would do with those if you decide to. I'm not sure how that could be handled at this point because they're all sending them in pretty much. They're not even expiring till the 30th of June, so they're getting them in pretty quick.
Okay. Councilmember Sattel.
Yes, I had a phone call this week from a gentleman that owns the Pirates Cove. His first name's Terry, and he was concerned also about the liquor license, since he's a bar only, he doesn't serve food, and so he's not allowed actually to still reopen yet. Maybe you heard from him too, because he's been calling to the city trying to get information about it. He said he's already paid his fees and fines, his fees for his liquor license, but his does expire at the end of this month, and was wondering when they were getting mailed out so he doesn't have it overlap so he can still buy liquor. So is there a way to address that, or is it on
The liquor
schedule or not?
license does not expire until June 30th.
June 30th?
So he
Okay.
has another 6 weeks almost.
Yeah.
He was worried about not getting it. He's wondering if the businesses were slow getting them back out, or the city was. And I just thought I'd throw it out there tonight. Add a
Thank you.
topic on it. Thank you.
Further comments or questions? Councilmember Abram.
I
Then
just have
Councilmember
one
Hine.
other comment. My thought is that we're crying wolf, that our city needs the revenue and we're not going to be bringing in what we should be. And it's nothing against what Randy's asking for, but I just don't see how we could do that, cry wolf, and then say, okay, we're going to let you just, keep some of this and just pay it as you can or whatever. I just don't think it's a good idea for the city because there are a lot of other businesses that, like I said, are hurting too.
Very good. Councilmember Hine.
yes, I believe Bridgeton's is the most expensive at $700 if they have weekly and Sunday liquor license. And we wouldn't be the only municipality trying to help our businesses. Hazelwood took steps to help theirs, so.
Help them all. If you're going to help
Hold on.
one.
We got to recognize Councilmember Sattel has his hand up. Councilmember Sattel.
Follow up with Randy there. I think because we're such a tight budget this year, if there's a way to track this and know where it's at, if we're going to issue some partial credits, let's wait and do it on their next year's license on renewal. If they're shut down for 2 months right now, maybe we give them 2 months credit next year. But I don't think we need to adjust anything for our budget this year. Like Bart said, they're struggling right now on our budget right now. So I think I like the idea of helping them out, but I think all the businesses, for my own business license. I think we need to make sure we shove it into the next year if we need to try to figure out a way to help them out and just do this year like we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments or questions?
That's all.
Seeing none, we will move on to item 9, short-term rentals. So within your packet, I don't know if this is yours, Councilmember Zimmer again, or whether it's just placed on here. If you
Can
look at
be.
your
But I was just going to pass it to Glenn Broker and let him proceed unless you would like to do something else. So it's in your hands.
So you
Mr. Mayor.
you have a copy of the proposed ordinance,
I
which
do.
along with the memo states that this issue has to go to planning and zoning, which will have to hold a hearing on the matter. And then it comes back to us, and we also will have to hold a hearing on the matter.
Yeah.
So it's a double hearing. And the item then would go, it's actually going to be on the June 8th P&Z agenda. So it's probably July before we can actually take it up at this level with the council. Questions? Comments? Okay, seeing none, we will move on.
So Mayor, if you don't mind, I think it would be appropriate to ask for a motion to refer this to planning and zoning.
Okay.
Because
I'll make that motion.
Yeah.
Second.
Councilmember Zimmer has made a motion, seconded by Councilmember Satel, to move the proposed draft ordinance of short-term residential rental agreement on to the planning and zoning for their consideration. Comments or questions? Councilmember Purcell.
I just wanted to make a quick comment that I'm not trying to forestall the process or anything like that. However, I think I've made it pretty clear that my position is I am against this ordinance. I'm against taking away our residents' property rights. And so I just wanted to say that, and that's the reason that I'll be voting against sending it to planning and zoning.
So noted. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, will the clerk call the roll on this proposal to forward this on to planning and zoning?
Mr. Purcell,
Nay.
Mr. Satel,
Aye.
Mr. Zimmer,
Aye.
Mrs. Abram,
Aye.
Mr. Grimmer,
Aye.
Mr. Hine,
Aye.
Mrs. Luke,
Nay.
Mrs. Norris,
Aye.
6 and 2.
By your vote of 6-2, you have approved a motion to forward this on to the Planning and Zoning Commission for their consideration and a public hearing. We are down to attorney's report. Mr. Lindenbroker.
Nothing else, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Council communications. We'll start with Councilmember Zimmer.
Yeah, I've got 4 items. I had a question from one of my people. It's a good question about the trash payment. He was wondering if he could pay either quarterly or everything at once, and he wanted to know if you could shed some light on how the payments can be. I know some people can't afford it and they're going to go monthly, but could you share some information on the trash payment?
Mr. Gunn has been in discussions with Republic Services, our provider. Would you care to answer that now, or you want to wait until I call on you?
I can answer it now. That's
Go
fine.
ahead, Mr. Gunn.
Right now, the Republic is looking at sending out the first round of invoices for the middle of June, so just in a few weeks. They're going to bill the residents quarterly. So basically, they'll bill the first 3 months, and those invoices will be sent out in 2 weeks.
What about though, can they pay? His question is, can they pay all at one time? They could, I assume, right?
I've never had that question asked, but I can definitely send that to Republic. Basically, they just send the bill out, and I don't know if there's any boxes or anything they can check or write in their extra money or anything like that, but we can check and see if they did, if it would be applied to their account.
Mr. Brokow?
Mayor, I can't imagine that they would not take a double payment for the entire 6 months. Robert, is there anything that would preclude somebody from paying on a monthly basis? Does the contract require that it's at least quarterly?
The contract says that the Republic will bill the residents quarterly. It doesn't say anything about being monthly, because that would be an extra cost because there's a fee associated with.
Administrative, correct, yeah.
Right.
So I
Okay.
think it would probably be difficult for somebody to just pay on a monthly basis because of the administrative charge. They're already allowed an administrative charge for billing individual on a quarterly basis, and that would probably just increase if it was monthly. So I don't believe, if I recall, that there is any kind of monthly allowance. It's at a minimum quarterly.
Councilmember Satel, I believe Councilmember Zimmer has the floor. Would you like, Councilmember, is this directly related to trash? Is that why you're asking a question? Is
Yes, Mayor. That's related to Republic, so I just follow
that
the
all right with you,
conversation right now.
Councilmember Zimmer, to allow the Councilmember Satel to ask his question?
Yes,
Very good.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Councilmember
It's
Satel.
the last meeting I brought up, because we had a discussion item a little bit on the Republic, and I brought up how are we going to build the 3 condominium projects that pay per yard dumpage, and I didn't get an answer on that at all. Are you going to build the same amount and then maybe overpay or underpay?
I believe
Have a
Mr. Gunn
breakdown
has
on
been,
that? Let us know.
I believe Mr. Gunn has been in discussions on the condos and how they would be billed. Mr. Gunn?
In fact, we've been working with the condo associations in Bridgeton. There's 5 condo associations. We've made contact with all those managers. They'll be billed because they're considered commercial and they're dumpsters. Republic will bill those 5 condo associations monthly for them. We've already been in contact with all 5 of those managers.
So we really don't know what the citizens are going to get billed individually, or is it just the condo associations and eventually they can raise their fees, or what?
Some of the condo associations did say they've already provided a budgeting for their condos. For instance, Bridgecrest 3, if you break it down, they have 48 units. They're looking at $1.84 additional per unit. So basically $88 a month. The highest one, if you look at the breakdown, would be Carrollton. They have 104 units. That would be roughly a breakdown depending upon how they want to bill their units or bill their customers. They're looking at $5.90 per month. 2 of the agencies that we had talked to or associations mentioned that they have a reserve fund they'll be pulling from, and they're not going to go back to those people or their unit holders with any kind of special fees or anything like that.
All right.
Very
Thank you.
good. Back to Councilmember Zimmer.
Thank you. Okay. Number 2. Walmart submitted a request for a sign that should be coming to us shortly. It's a rather large sign. The design and review rejected or gave a negative approval for it to be presented to us by 4-1. So just look for that coming up. I just thought I'd share that with you. So that's the Walmart that is on, that's being changed to the self-storage. Okay, number 3, I've been beating the bushes a little bit and knocking on doors, and man, one of the big items I'm getting is speeding, and the one that I get it a lot on is Raymond, and I'm just asking that we can maybe keep a closer eye on Raymond. But what I'd like to do, it would be perfect to do a trial, not this year, maybe next year, to do a speed dip, and they have them in Fort Collins all over the place, and the emergency vehicles accept them without a problem. But I'd like to try to maybe next year put it in the budget to do a speed bump and do a trial speed bump on Raymond. It's quite the conversation topic when you go to each door and somebody's complaining about the speeding, about people going down that street. Okay. Last item I have, sorry I'm so long, I'm usually not this long, don't take this long, but there's a possibility that this is going to be my last council meeting. If so, it was good working with you and good luck. Hopefully everybody gets out and votes next Tuesday, which is June 2nd. That'll be all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Satel.
Yes, Mayor. Lately, we've seen a lot of the sign postings throughout Bridgeton for the tall grass. A lot of the citizens complain about it. The neighbors on both sides complain about it. Glad to see that the city of Bridgeton's making sure that they go through and we hire somebody and cut it and file liens on some of these properties. I also noticed that was a large, that apartment complex over on Natural Bridge. It's not in our ward, but can someone address on how we're going to approach a large complex like that with the tall grass?
Your question is how we're going to address, do you have the specific? Because there is one that we can talk about a little bit that's going into a bankruptcy proceeding.
That's the complex I'm talking about. Is it something where we just do it and get a cut and file liens against it since we have first lien rights? It's the one that had problems with all their sewers and everything else and water
Yeah.
services.
There's
Pretty
also,
circle.
there's also, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I just wanted to see how, without me lodging the complaint since it's not my ward, but sure an eyesore when I drove over to pick up my packet Tuesday and it's like, this is terrible. Sorry,
Mr. Gunn has been addressing that and I will have him answer that when it comes up. Thank you though.
That's all though. Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you.
And I hope you're still here, Scott, next month.
Councilmember Purcell.
Thank you, Mayor. Once again, just start off by thanking staff. Appreciate all the IT work and everything that goes into it to make these meetings possible, even though it's not the norm. And again, a big hello and thank you to anybody that may be watching this, after it goes online. Just basically have 3 topics that I'd like to cover tonight. The first one deals with parks directly. You don't have to answer this now, but if maybe you could take a note and answer it in your part, Mr. Kane, I'd appreciate it. And maybe the city administrator may want to comment on this too, I'm not sure. But dealing specifically with our employees, the email that we got, I guess last week, did mention 58 part-time employee letters were sent out to furlough them. The list also has 17 full-time employee positions that were furloughed. I'm not a math expert, but I come up with about 75 employees that were furloughed. My question is kind of as things are starting to open back up, and I read your update, Mr. Mayor, do we have a time frame on when we are looking to bring some of those employees back? That's the first question. The second question is, do we have any summer staff that we're still hiring? I know even though you instituted a hiring freeze for the city, I think I remember at one of the meetings about a month and a half ago, it was mentioned that we were still looking and hiring summer part-time staff. Since the plan is to open the pool in say midsummer, since you did mention in your email that we were going to try to do a summer camp for 6 weeks, are we still hiring those positions now, or how's that going to work?
Mr. Kane, address that when it's his turn.
I appreciate that. The second issue that I have is just kind of a general overview about, say, helping others. I fully 100% support Mr. Hines' position about trying to help our local businesses. He did mention in his comments that Bridgeton has one of the highest licensure taxes, whether it's for the liquor, whether it's for the business license. I understand from what our city clerk has said that some of those have already come in and that it may be an administrative or a practical burden to try to do that. But at the end of the day, our job needs to be to support those businesses, because guess what? I understand we're going through a pandemic right now, but if we lose our businesses, we're going to be going through an economic crisis like this going forward, even after COVID-19 is gone. When we look at the trash pickup also, I think it's important, and I appreciate the update there from Public Works. And but the big thing is, it sounds like some people are wanting to do this monthly. They're not going to have the extra funds to pay this on a quarterly or a 6-month basis. And that's concerning to me. And I hear other council members say things like, well, we're crying wolf, or we need to, watch our own pocketbook and things like that. And I think maybe they've lost touch with exactly why we're sitting in these seats and why we're having these meetings. Our job is not to pad the city's pocketbook or collect money for the city. Our job is to take care of the people that we represent. And right now, some of those people, whether they're businesses or whether they're individual residents, are hurting. And you know what? I understand that our income is going to be low, but we operate a $25 million budget here in this city. I don't know of many of my residents in my ward that operate that at home. They're having to make decisions on, do we keep the lights on? Do we put food on the table? Do we pay this credit card this month or that bill this month? The little bit of money, I know some people say it's not a lot, but every little bit is going to help. And so I just think we need to make sure that we're really focusing on that. lastly, on the helping others, to anybody out there that may be watching this online, as we do start to open up slowly here in St. Louis County, take the time to go out if you can. If you feel comfortable, if you're not sick, things like that, go out, support our local businesses, whether it's, going out to grab a bite to eat or something like that. Help the local economy. In the end of the day, it's obviously going to help the city and help our residents as well. And the last thing that I have tonight is just a kind of a thank you. Start with thank you every night. Tonight I'm going to end with one also. First, a thank you to you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the emails that you've been sending out. I appreciate the transparency that you have with, providing the plan for reopening. And the biggest calls that I'm getting are, when's this going to open? When's that going to open? What are we doing with the pool? What are we doing with this, that, and the other? And so having something like that, even though it's just a plan off in the future that could change, is really helpful. I appreciate it. And then lastly, I think we all may have heard in the news about the unfortunate events surrounding the city administrator in Maryland Heights. And without going into any reason for that suspension or what happened in that city, I'm a firm believer that things that happen in Maryland Heights and things that happen in Hazelwood are their own business, and we run our own business. And while we do intermingle sometimes, the city of Bridgeton is important. And I just want to take a second to thank our city administrator, Mr. Bookout. I think he's doing the best he can given a really tough situation. And I have full faith and confidence that he has the best interest of this city at heart, and he's doing everything he can to get us through this crisis. So thank you to both of you. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing everybody back in council chamber next month, including you, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Purcell. Councilmember Grimmer.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. I had the occasion to interact or contact a couple of the city's businesses, and just to kind of let you know what they're up against. I talked with Andy, the manager at McAllister's, that of course they're happy just to be open. They are limited to 25% of their potential capacity, which means they can have a maximum of 45 diners in there. And he said the business is slowly coming back. The takeout was okay for them and kind of sustained them, but it certainly wasn't what they would hope for. On a more positive note, he said if we just go a little bit further south into Tennessee and some of their other locations, they're running at 100% already. So we maybe can look forward to that. June 1st, they're supposed to get an update as to maybe they can loosen up a little bit and some of those restrictions may be lifted. But right now, 25%. So that's all they could go. But they're looking forward to coming back and coming back strong. And secondly, I had the occasion to visit and go through the Once Upon a Child store, which opened on the Rock Road up there. They opened up, of course, Monday. We approved that last summer, as I recall, but I'll tell you what, that is a very, very nice operation. It's well organized. I was in there this morning at about, I guess it was about 9:30, and there must have been about, I'd say 10, 15 shoppers there already. Extremely well organized. I think that's going to be a credit to the city. Very, very, it's big. They've got just about everything in there. My wife was in there Monday and bought a couple of books and some clothes for our twin grandsons. And I think it's going to be a credit to the city, and it looks like they're going to do a good business. So I look forward to the businesses coming back. I know it's going to be a struggle, but I think that the Rock Road has always been a strong suit for us, and we're going to make it through this. It's just going to be a little slower, so I have faith in it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Hine.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to patronize Culpeppers out in St. Peter's on Sunday. And besides Sally and myself, there was about 6 other diners in there. So the business is slow to start with. Chimmy's on Monday night, they might have had 12 or 14 people in there. They did have a lot of to-go orders lined up on their tables there for people to pick up. But with that being said, I think the people coming out and patronizing the businesses again and socializing and getting in the public is going to be slow, probably slower than we thought it would be. I do have a business that's a restaurant not in Bridgeton, but he's decided not to open yet because he doesn't think 25% occupancy will produce enough income for him to pay the bills and keep things going. So he's going to wait till the next phase or the following phase. I do want to wish Barb and Scott the best in their elections. And it's my opinion that, sure, it's my opinion that I think we have a good, strong council right now, knowledgeable. We have a lot of skills and abilities, and I think that is what is needed at this point, considering our pension plan and considering our budget. So we need the knowledge and the experience right now to continue forward. So good luck, and hopefully we'll be out all together on election night and have a cocktail. And then for the chief, if he's coming on, I have a question. I wanted to see if he can answer. Is there still a state statute or local city ordinance on the percentage of window tint on vehicles? I just want to see if he'll comment on that. And if so, does Bridgeton enforce that? Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Luke.
Thank you, Mayor. As Councilman Purcell did, I'd like to thank you for all that you're doing for us and for sending out your update on our reopening plan. Looking forward to reopening back to the rec center. Mr. Bookout, thank you for the financial information. It helps to paint the larger picture for the decisions that we need to make going forward. Mr. Kane, thank you for quickly addressing my email this week. There was a dead possum on the path. Wasn't too pleasant to go past. So thank you, just thank you all for being so responsive. Regarding my vote on the short-term rental, I really want to hear from the residents before I make a decision. The whereas statements on the ordinance are fairly strong and one-sided, and I don't know that I 100% agree with all of that yet. The trash, as far as the trash issue goes, is there going to be an opt-out option for residents? I haven't personally had anyone ask me that yet, but I do know that some people have asked that question. No one's asked me directly, but I do know some people have asked that question. If they have other options for disposing of their trash, do they have to opt in to Bridgeton's contract? As we all know, we will vote on June 2nd prior to our next council meeting. So I encourage the voters to confirm possible changes to their polling places. And along those lines, I know that Mr. Lindenbroker has provided some preliminary guidance on social media usage. And I was wondering if there's any definitive statements yet that I can rely on, because I would like to open up the Ward 3 Facebook page again and get information out to the voters within the next 2 weeks. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Norris.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'll just repeat everyone. Thanks for everything. Thanks for setting us up. Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Kevin. More information than I need to hear, but I'm glad we are getting to open up. I just have an FYI to Councilwoman Luke. You said something about we get together and discuss. We must be careful about a quorum and sunshine rules in getting together before a meeting without a meeting. So I just wanted to let you know that and any time that you have, since you're fresh, any questions or anything that you would have, our city's employees, you can make an appointment and they would gladly help you get through anything. So that would be something I would, advise you to do.
I have, thank you. Yeah.
Anyway, also I just have a little comment, and we made the comment about a team. We all continue as a team to reach decisions we know we're still going to have difficult and painful ones that we must work together to decide on those. Our city's future is at stake. You know, we all love Bridgeton. You all love Bridgeton, or you wouldn't be getting involved in the city. I know it's not for the pay, but residents and staff and employees and all of us, we've battled the airport buyout, the floods, tornadoes, and we have all survived. So we will survive this. We are tough and the residents are loyal. This is a temporary bump, but working together, but we have many positives. We have our residents, our businesses, our city amenities, our school district, our city be great again. And I also, just part of that future, I saw that working on that second subdivision, Fort McKay, the trees are down, unfortunately, but they're clearing the lot. So it looks like that demolition is getting ready for construction. And again, Mr. Zimmer and Ms. Abram, I hope to see you next council meeting. Good luck. See you soon. Take care.
Very good. Councilmember Abram.
Yes, I want to thank you all for your good wishes on a week from Tuesday. I hope to be back. We've got a lot going on in our city that I think is very important that does take experience to address. Also, I know I'm the one, Drew, that said we're crying wolf. So, and I do understand my job. When I was elected to represent the people, you know, what's best for them and what's best for the city. And I've always done that. And my, you know, vote on the, this bill that we wanted to send to planning and zoning on the Airbnbs, I don't think, you know, is to hurt our people. The majority of our people don't want it. And I also feel that we're not, you know, getting on their private property to hurt the residents. We're going to hurt the residents if we allow the Airbnbs. It's just my opinion, because you really can't control too much what the people that's moving in there is going to do. But I do understand my job, and I try to do what's best and make decisions as to what's best for our residents and the city. My objection to Randy's thing about the license is strictly that we have a lot of businesses that are hurting. And I don't like the idea that we're just selecting one or two. If we're going to help them, let's help them all. I think, you know, we having our residents pay their trash bills because, you know, we love this city and we want to do what's best to see it survive. At least I do. And then we want to turn around and, you know, cut the bills, the license fees and all that for the liquor establishments and, you know, restaurants. Some of them do give out the food, but that's my opinion. I don't want to hurt our city employees or our residents and by making them pay for something and then we turn around and give a break. And I do think it's kind of like crying wolf. You know, we're cutting back, we're eliminating some of our like street issues and, you know, all that. So we're holding back on the stormwater, and I just want to make it fair for the residents of the city and all of our businesses. And that's my concern. Don't want to help one if we can't help them all. And it's obvious we're not going to be able to help them all. But, and the administration, I think we need to learn to appreciate them more. I'm sure they're not holding back anything on us, and they're getting things out as quick as they can. Things change probably on a daily basis, and, you know, we have to recognize that. So I want to, you know, tell our administration and Kevin and all of them, all the department heads, that I think that you guys are doing a terrific job. And I'm with you. And I do trust you to get the stuff that we need. If we don't get it, you know, we can ask. That's my thing. We can always call City Hall. We can always ask. So anyway, thanks for your, oh, also, I'm doing it long tonight too. I want to thank you all for understanding that final plat and not wasting a lot of time on debate on it. I think we learned as we go along, why waste the time if there's nothing that we're going to be able to do about it. So I do appreciate that. So thanks to y'all, and I appreciate you guys, and I hope to be back here at the next meeting.
Thank you, Council Labor.
Thank
All right, we will go on to department reports. We'll start with Parks. Mr. Kane.
Hey, I wanted to talk about the Bridgeton landfill grant first, and there's a couple of questions on that. We did apply for a grant for a new playground at BMAC. That's the main playground there. As you pull in on the older side of the park, it's one of the oldest playgrounds that we have. It's probably our largest playground. So it was one of those that we felt strongly in applying for, that was going to be a very expensive one, one that's going to be tough for us to do without the help of a grant or some sort of assistance. And also one of the requirements for the grant application was you need to be within a 4-mile radius of the issue with the landfill. And the closer you are in that 4-mile radius, the better your chances were going to be for the grant. So that kind of narrowed down the focus for us in doing something at BMAC because it was kind of within that 1 mile. So we felt that would give us the best chance to be successful. And it was pretty exciting to get that call from the St. Louis Community Foundation last week about being awarded. So I know $350,000 seems like a lot for a playground, but I can assure you it's kind of the going rate for a playground of that size. The surfacing needs to be completely redone. If you know what it looks like now, it's pretty much mulch or kiddie cushion. It's not ADA compliant whatsoever. Kids that have disabilities or different levels of play are not able to use that. Well, that'll all be taken care of. The equipment, the fencing, installation, shade structures, and concrete all kind of makes up that 350. And I wanted to thank Vicki and Craig for their help with that grant application because they were very instrumental. So we're excited about that. And we do have, moving on to a reopening plan for our facilities. I know that's been a hot topic. We've got a lot of comments, questions, and I'm sure you guys all have too. And we want to have answers as soon as everybody else does, but unfortunately we're kind of we're dependent on St. Louis County. It's not something that we can just, and so they came out with some information today saying that summer camps can start as early as June 1st and pools can open early June. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean our pool can start early June. There's a lot of things that need to be worked out. From what I've been told, that may start with neighborhood pools and small private pools, and municipal pools might be closer to the end of the month. So we're still waiting on information, but I just want to make sure that anybody watching out there or the council knows that just because Dr. Page has mentioned early June, that doesn't mean that we can do that. So we've got to wait and get some more information and find out what the restrictions are and make sure we can implement those restrictions. From what I've heard, the reopening is going to be pretty restrictive with the county. So we'll do our best and we'll have information out there as soon as we know. Day camp, we were planning on June 29th tentatively. We pushed it back. That would still give us 6 weeks that we initially planned on. And we're thinking now that he said open as early as June 1st, we're going to try to bump that up and maybe June 22nd. So I know Vicki has been in contact with all the people that have registered, and we've got a hold on registration. We're not taking in spots. And we'll post that information on the website and our Facebook page as soon as we know more. And then just to answer a question as far as summer staff, I know there was a hiring freeze and going back a month or so, but as we continue to get information about if we're going to be opening pools and day camp and the rec center, we're obviously going to have staff for those programs. So we've been still taking applications and interviewing people, and we're just now going through the process of putting through the request to hire some of those staff. So that'll be something that will be approved by administration. And as far as furloughed staff, part-time staff, we'll need to bring those part-timers back. When we open the rec center, we'll need them back. So yeah, we look forward to that. And I'll let the city administrator speak on the full-time furloughs.
Rick, did you intend to address that right now, or do you want to wait until I call on you?
I can wait until you call on me.
Okay, well, we're going to have the police chief now give his report. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that.
That's all I have.
Can anybody see me? All right, I've got a couple of things. The situational report ends up 4 o'clock this afternoon. The state of Missouri has 631 deaths reported as a result of COVID. There's been 11,232 tests are positive. And then so far they've conducted 158,296 tests throughout the state at all the labs.
Holy cow.
And they're trying to ramp up the testing now. They're loosening the restrictions, so there's going to be a lot more testing coming out, which may skew some of those numbers. So if you have any questions, you can get it on the DHS website and it'll explain it all. Relative to your question on window tinting is normally covered under the inspection part of an automobile and it's controlled by the state. We do not have a specific ordinance that deals with window tinting. We do have an obstruction ordinance for the windshields, but we don't have the light metering devices for those. We do not have a specific ordinance for that. We've been up on Raymond for this speeding issue many times. We will move the speed trailer back up there on Raymond and get some visuals. It's isolated, but when they do speed through Raymond, some of them are going there pretty quick, but the majority of the people that travel on Raymond are not speeding. But we will get up there as much as we can. If there's specific, well, I haven't touched anything.
Samir froze a while ago.
It's frozen.
Is that any better?
Yeah.
That's better.
You're freezing.
Well, I know it's cold in here, but.
We lost you on Raymond. We lost you about 30 seconds ago, Chief, and you were speaking about Raymond, and then you were talking about upping the enforcement, or you didn't use those words, but could you repeat that last 20 seconds of what you said?
Sure. We will get up
again.
Yes, Rose.
All right, we clear?
Your internet connection is unstable.
Yeah, mine said that a while ago.
He's bouncing in and out.
Try one more time, please.
He's good now. Try it again.
We're gonna try to get in the speed trailer, and we'll continue with our enforcement efforts up there and see if we can't get some of those issues taken care of.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and good luck.
Thanks.
I want to let you know that we have received correspondence on our portion of the landfill grant, and we are going to receive $38,000 to equip 2 command vehicles that we've already purchased earlier this year. So they're supposed to be sending the check and the paperwork in the mail, and hopefully we'll have it by next week. Lastly, for all of you that knew Wayne Kelly, he passed away. He served on the last commission. He was part of the police commission, and he's been a longtime resident. I know he's been on committees for at least 20 years. So try to keep his family in your prayers.
Moving on, Mr. Gunn.
Yes, sir. The first thing is dealing with the question on trash. Are the residents able to opt out? The answer to that is no. Our rate that we received from the hauler when we bid this, the $1,440 per month, was based on being able to provide 3,246 homes that they would be picking up. So they can't opt out because that would give the contractor the opportunity to come in and reassess that unit price. Plus, our ordinances state that the residents have to have an approved hauler. So they can't dig a hole in their backyard and bury it. They can't burn it. It has to be a city-approved hauler. Looking at our processes, the only city-approved hauler is Republic because they have the contract. We went through the whole bidding process. So know that the residents will not be allowed to opt out. They have to go with the city-approved hauler, which is Republic. As far as the tall grass goes, we've been working. It's been a kind of an uphill battle the last couple of weeks with it being so wet. The airport, we've been dealing with them, has done the first round of cutting. It's kind of a very preliminary or smaller cut than they usually have, but they are having some issues with their contract, but they were able to cut our areas that are affecting the residents the most, which is right around a natural bridge and also around Fifi. So that did get mowed. We're keeping our fingers crossed we can get that mowed again in about 3-4 weeks. As far as some other properties go, the apartment complex, we have mowed that once. We changed up a little bit on our procedures because we want to make sure we cover all of our bases. And I was going to let Mr. Linderbroker kind of go through what we're doing a little bit differently for the apartment complex and why we're doing it differently for them.
Thanks, Robert. Yesterday, Mike Tallis from my office and Robert conducted a public hearing with respect to the grass mowing at the apartment complex. We traditionally have not really had public hearings with respect to grass cutting, primarily because of the amount of money at stake and the number of homes that are involved in any given year. But because of the cost associated with mowing the grass for the apartment complex, we did provide a public hearing in order to give the property owner an opportunity to, have any say with respect to the record. Like I said, we went through the hearing as a procedural matter. At this point, like I said, Robert is going to cut the grass again. Public Works will, and we will lien the property for the amount of the costs associated with cutting the grass.
Currently, we have it on the schedule. Looking at the time frames, we can't cut any earlier than Tuesday, the 26th. So we're looking at next Tuesday would be the first day eligible to mow the grass for the apartments. And put it in kind of a frame as far as how much we're looking at. It's going to be between $5,000 and $6,000 for one mowing of the apartment complex. So it is a very large number. That's why we're going through. Some other things, BioLife is looking at opening in the third week of June. Another 2 weeks from now, 2 to 3 weeks, they'll be open. And DRS is looking at having final occupancy and having their contractor be completely out of the building by the end of the month. Pending your questions, that's all I have.
Very good. Mr. Bookout.
So there was a question about part-time furloughed employees and full-time. So as the Parks Director had mentioned, as we begin to be approved to open day camp and the pool, we're going to be somewhat strategic about these hires, and we're going to hire the number of day camp counselors that we need for the number of children that are registered for day camp. So we're certainly not going to bring on any more than we necessarily need. Same with the swimming pool. If we're given permission to open towards the end of June, we're going to bring on the number of part-time employees that we need for that. When the rec center is given the green light to open, it's probably going to open in a similar manner that we closed it, and that is kind of a tier up. We're going to have probably limited hours for essentially the first month or two because of our reduced staff. Our hope is by the end of the summer, we've talked before, and the intent is to bring back the furloughed employees by the end of July. And we're certainly anticipating at that point to have everybody back and fully staffed to hopefully have all of our programs up and running and facilities open on a regular schedule. So there's no really easy answer. We're going to be strategic and bring people on as we need them. Certainly answer any questions you may have.
Any questions of Mr. Bookout? Very good. I think you froze, Kevin.
He's froze again.
Yeah, he's froze.
Mayor's.
All right. I'm going to keep my report short.
Mayor or Kevin.
Mayor's froze.
Am I froze too?
Yeah, they both are.
There we go, everybody. You all hear me again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Mayor.
All right. Councilmember Sattel, did you have a question, Mr. Bookout?
Yeah, for one of you two. What's come about the resolution we passed Friday? Can one of you address that?
I'll be glad to. On the resolution we passed on Friday, it was immediately sent over by email to the St. Louis County Municipal League, or it's now called the Municipal League of Metro St. Louis. Copy was also forwarded to the county executive. It is our hope that as many other municipalities will do the same thing in an effort to try and convince him that some of the CARES money that was allocated to the county, 173.5 million, I believe it was, can be utilized for first responders' salaries and benefits. We have yet to hear back from him. I know he was somewhat cautious about it, is a nice word to say, because he wants to make sure that the federal government will have no problems if we spend things that way. Rest assured, we will talk to him. We have a meeting, a conference call with the county executive on Tuesday of next week, and we will for sure bring that issue up. I also have the issue, thank you, Councilmember Sattel, also the issue about the pools. It's my intention to raise that issue with the county executive as well. It was always my intention, and I believe administrations as well as Mr. Keynes, that we have the pool available this summer. Our residents utilize that pool a great deal. And I just think personally that it would have been a great disappointment for many people had we not been able to open that. So we will continue to push. In particular, I think the municipal pools should take priority over the private pools or the ones in subdivisions. That's just my personal belief, and I'm going to express that. There are more people, I believe, that use the municipal pools throughout St. Louis County than they do the private ones. And I intend to tell the county executive that. I thank you all for your comments with regards to the information sent to you about opening up the city. It's always our intent to try and keep you as best informed as we can. We will try to adhere to that schedule as much as we can. As noted by Mr. Kane, though, there are some things that the county controls that we may not have any control over. But it's our hope to get things going. There's a lot of people that depend, for instance, on day camps. A lot of couples in this community that have younger children rely on those day camps throughout the summer. And as communities open up, as businesses start back, they need those day camps. So it's our full intention to keep them going. Sorry to hear about Mr. Kelly. I also was told about that. Wayne did a lot of things for the city. Very much appreciated his service. The legislature did not finish out its job. Mr. Hine alluded to that with the Wayfair, which is the sales tax or use tax on internet purchases. The bill came up the day before the last day of session, but it never got back. There has been an effort by the United Mayors of Missouri, of which we're a member, and most of the mayors in the state of Missouri are, to call on the governor to do a special session just to consider that issue. It benefits not only the city of Bridgeton and all municipalities, but also the counties in the state of Missouri as well. Unfortunately, there are a few people that look upon it as a tax increase. I personally don't. What it does is hurts our bricks and mortar stores.
Froze again.
Oh, sorry. Frozen again? Did it come back?
I mean, it's froze.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we just entertain a motion to adjourn? You get me? Is it back?
Mayor.
Let's have a motion to adjourn then.
Well, all right, folks, since the mayor seems to be froze, if there's
He's
no
back.
more business,
Wait a minute. He might
back
have
again.
more to say.
Am I back?
are you back? Okay.
All right, no. Let's go ahead for a motion for adjournment.
All right, I was going to move for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Is there a second? Councilmember Abram?
Yeah, can I say something to Dave before we adjourn? Dave,
Yes, ma'am.
I've been with you a long time, ever since you come here, and I didn't mean to leave you out, but in case I'm not back, good luck, and you've done a wonderful job for our city.
Oh, you'll be back, Barb.
Thank you, Bob.
Confident
Yeah.
about it.
We also remind everybody to vote
We'll
on
see.
June the 2nd. And we will
I'm
be,
hoping.
we will be back
The
and
mayor
open
froze
with
again.
all of the council members here at
We're
Chamber at the next
considering a
meeting.
motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Wait a minute, the mayor's here. You can't take over the meeting.
Well, you can if I'm frozen.
He's
That's
not
only
here.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All in favor,
We're
aye.
adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We did.